the product for product switch obviously doesn't exist.
If you want an instant fix to the nitrogen problem, you probably won't see it in organic. You probably have to stay where you are.
When it comes to nitrogen, there's such a huge abundance of nitrogen in our universe. The air above each acre, there's 70 million pounds. There is no excuse not to take advantage of that, because up to this point they've never learned how to tax us. We can get that out of the air through the biological activities in the soil, as well as the symbiotic relationship between the alfalfa roots or any legume crop and the root system where it fixes nitrogen.
Forage peas, yellow peas, vetches, those sorts of things that are regaining and increasing in demand for those, which are legumes that are going to bring nitrogen into the system. But ultimately, even if that crop is quote unquote, closer to a break even, the year of production, you have to factor in what those nitrogen credits are worth. Once the organic system and the soil system begins functioning, the need for nutrients at the same levels as conventional wisdom or current recommendations are for specific crops, can go down.
We only just use alfalfa. We don't use any other additives, Chilean nitrate or anything like that, no. Alfalfa is the only nitrogen base we have currently. Well, now we have red clover on the ground, but yeah, I think we'll probably plant a lot more red clover in the future, because it's a one-year wonder. It grows fast, and you're not going to keep it 2 years.
The end game is really to get to that maximum nitrogen efficiency, grow as much of it as you can, so you're not buying off-farm inputs, which are volatile. They're susceptible to price shocks due to diesel fuel prices, just simply because it's got to be trucked to your farm.
If you do a lot of organic inputs, it might be because you used to do a lot of traditional, conventional inputs, or it could be because you absolutely need them because your soil's not so good yet. You can transition into organics by 36 months, but it's going to take you 10 years to get the soil healthy and biological and active and back up to where it was, maybe longer.
And typically, until soils are really up and functioning and liberating and releasing those nutrients to plants, you are going to be looking at potential inputs, poultry litters, certainly, beneficial from the standpoint of while the soil is getting up to speed and you're looking at soil corrections and even micronutrients, providing those micronutrients at the time of planting, in either granular or liquid form, in furrow and 2x2 is beneficial in getting plants off to the right start. Applying biology even, if wholesale applications of compost or other, biological inoculums or foods for biology aren't necessarily in your budget, putting small amounts right at the genesis of the seed. So right when that seed is germinating, it has biological partners that it didn't previously have in the conventional system. It'll feed those biological partners. They'll multiply and they'll proliferate, and it'll begin to change, at least at the very start of that plant's growth and getting it off, from a pop-up standpoint. Can a farmer get by with just livestock manure, poultry manure, either in its raw or value-added form, pelletized, dehydrated, whatever it might be? If that matches their yield expectation, they certainly can. So you can't talk about N credits down unless you have biology, biological partners, a biological system that's going to function along with that organic N.
Here again, that's as far as adding any outside inputs onto the soil, that somewhat keeps us led down the primrose path of thinking that we can fix our soils by putting something on the soil. That fits in the category of you've got to make that decision depending on how fast you want to get your soil to a reproductive soil rather than just a productive soil. But here again, we have to keep the most important organism on that farm in business, and that's the farmer. And so he has to realize that if he's ever going to build his soil, he's got to sacrifice and put some in the soil bank account, the savings account in the soil, and live off the interest and a little less, because if he's not leaving some of the law of increase that nature puts in the soil, leaving that in the soil to build, then his principal's not going to grow any. So he doesn't want to live off all the interest all the time. So anyhow, using those products can augment the fertility and increase the yield a little bit. but I think a person should really focus on creating a reproductive soil, not just a productive soil.